Hi everyone, do you know about your employment rights in Singapore? Today I'll be sharing a few rights that we have. I'm Bernard Fong, your extensive wealth educator. There are some things you may not know about your employment rights. So firstly, it covers all employees, including those earning more than $4,500 a month. And secondly, it covers local and foreigner, whether it's full-time, part-time or contract staff. There are a few ways to terminate employment. One, it could be due to a breach of contract. It could be due to giving ample notice. It could also be workplace safety issues and also by dismissal. So I will elaborate more on each of these. Let's talk about the notice period. So the notice period should be the same for both employer and employee as agreed in the employment contract. So let's say, for example, when we sign the employment contract and we state a 30-day notice, this means that if the company wish to terminate it, the company has to give you 30-day notice as well, unless both you and the company decides to mutually waive this condition. Another way to terminate the employment is through breach of contract. So the breach can happen by the employer or by the employee. And the employer breaches if the employer does not pay the salary on time. Right? Now, the employee can also breach the contract if the employee has been absent without official notice, without any MC or whatsoever, for more than 2 days, then that is considered a breach of employment contract. Another way of dismissal can be through misconduct. So during the course of our employment, there may be instances where there may be allegations of misconduct as a result of, let's say, drunkenness, violence, abuse. So what we need to know as employee is that there is a process to follow. So depending on the severity of that conduct, we may be given some form of verbal warning, right? Maybe 1 or 2 times or perhaps 3 times before some written kind of warning, again depending on the severity of it. Now once after going through this, there must have a form of domestic inquiry. That means within the company, some form of inquiry. And what is this inquiry about? It's about you having a chance to explain the reason for the conduct. And then for a third party, it could be the HR or the manager, or someone neutral, to listen in on your position. And then once you have the right to articulate your concerns, your view on that conduct, of course the company will do their own investigation behind the scene. And so if the company decides to suspend you, which they have the right to do so, only then can termination happen thereafter. So the last common reason for terminating an employment would be through dismissal as a result of a redundancy. So what we have seen so far is that there's fear of recession that's happening around, not just in Singapore, but around the world. What we have on our end is that if we are employed for less than 2 years, by right, we are not entitled to any form of retrenchment benefits. However, we have seen the news that people do get some form of payment based on the length of service, etc. So for those less than 2 years, actually it's our company's goodwill or ex gratia payment to you. So in the event of large-scale layoff, the Commission will reserve the right to get information from the company whether this exercise was done in a fair manner to the employees. So then that gives us some assurance that actually there are certain safeguards in place to protect us. Another right that an employee has is the right to work in a safe environment. So according to the Workplace Compensation Act, the employer is liable for injuries that happen during the workplace. You will be surprised. From the home to your workplace, and then from workplace back to your home, that will also be covered. Now the thing is that if we so take a detour during the morning, we're having a tapao breakfast to office, then that will not be. And likewise, if after work we go shopping and then go back home, that will consider a detour. That will not be the ordinary course of business and therefore not covered. Another area that we may not be aware would be this clause in an employment contract called the non-solicitation clause or the non-compete clause, which means that upon exiting the business, the employment itself, we are restrained from doing certain things. We cannot go join a competitor for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, whatsoever, right? Now the overriding principle to look at this is to see whether this is fair. Is this according to industry norms? Because the counter that we can have as employee is that we can go under Competition Act because this is anti-competitive in nature, or we can go under Unfair Contract Term Act because this particular clause in the employer contract is not fair to us. Here are some avenues where employee can protect themselves. One will be through Singapore Constitution, which actually prohibits discrimination. So in the workplace environment, this includes pregnancy discrimination, age, gender, race, religion, right? So these are all prohibited. Another form of protection will be under the Harassment Act, which again prohibits anyone from using insulting words against anyone else as a result of causing some harm to them. That would include saying things like maybe not very smart, you are stupid. So actually we are protected under these laws, which is not specifically to just employment, but actually it's a universal law across the entire Singapore. So let's end off with some parting words. So let's not try to be too legalistic in how we do ourselves, how we conduct ourselves, because we want to end things on an amicable basis. Let's not burn bridges because we will never know whether we need each other down the road or not. But in any case, this session hopes to bring about awareness in terms of some of the rights that we have or we ought to know but we didn't know. And this will protect ourselves in such specific circumstance. And we hope that with this awareness, if let's say you experience any of these issues, you can seek professional help, seek legal advice, and also the appropriate government agency, because this whole session is to highlight this issue to you. I'm Bernard Fong, your Extensive Wealth Educator. So do follow us for other tips that we may have, and also comment down below if let's say you have something that you wish to share to the community.